But I am also really interested in learning a little bit more about the process of a life plan. I think that I've been doing a lot of work on myself, but it's just been by myself, really. So I'm interested in hearing what it looks like. And it's interesting because I know that I've been talking about this for so long, but it really is showing up for me right now. And you said it was like 5 to 6 weeks, but I'd like to learn a little bit more about like the process about it. It doesn't have to be today, but I just want to share with you that it is very intriguing and interesting.
We can give you a summary. Jim, you want to give a summary?
Yeah, and I think what makes sense, in addition to us sharing the framework with you, is to talk to them, to take the time to talk to them. Yeah, I think that'll give you more like real meat in terms of impact. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I think Jim's also saying what I get a lot is it could come across as self-serving the more we talk. That's the thing we always wonder. Like, you know, of course our ice cream tastes great. What do you think? Right. Ice cream business, you know? Talk to the people that have had the experience is a more powerful experience is what
That's why I encourage, if you guys can do that on your podcast and sharing other people's stories. I absolutely understand what you're saying, and it's really powerful.
Yeah.
I think there's something though about Amanda's desire to explore the conversation that I would say is just as important. Like there's something going on in her that's attracting her to even talk about life plan. I think there's something about, because we ourselves, David talked about his own resistance. We all have resistance to living our life plans, to being a part of Mazzi. And yet we come back to what is our heart, the way David talked about. My heart has chosen. And just to say, regardless of how, what experience they're having, you know, you're having an experience. And it's important for me to say that for myself, that I learned to trust my own guidance, my own. And so that's just my perspective on it as well, to not lose contact with that, Jim. I just wanted to put that in there.
Thank you for saying that.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
I bet you know how to talk about it.
Well, I've actually talked to Amanda about it in the past. So,
and also I think at that time I really wasn't, I had so much fear that was instilled in me on so many levels that I wasn't as open-minded as I am today, and I really didn't trust myself like I do today. So it was almost confronting for me when you would share. It wasn't that you were sharing your story. It was incredible. It was just the idea of me locking myself into a plan was so scary and confronting to me. And I have such a different approach and vision. And just before you share a little bit about it, I think what was showing up for me is sometimes I go in limbo where I'm doing a lot of work and I feel very committed to this part of my journey and I'm holding myself accountable, and I see on the other side of things, and this could be maybe my 1.0 and 2.0 talking, I don't know what's showing up, but there's a part of me that gets drawn back to a safe zone of, but you've been operating in this form, you've been successful, everything's been great, let's just keep going that way. And so I really, I'm looking, I guess, for a plan, not necessarily to lock me in, but to have clarity and hold me accountable to living in my truest form. And so with my commitment to myself, I'm more open-minded. And I think there's a difference between when you first started talking to me about it years ago and where I am today.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah. Would you be willing to bring up the pendulum diagram? Could you have that visible that would be helpful.
I'm going to share my screen, Amanda.
Okay.
So the first thing I want to say while David's doing that, Amanda, is a life plan is kind of a misnomer. Like the word plan feels constrictive. Which kind? Yeah. What it really is more about is it's more about remembering your true identity than it is about deriving a plan. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, it's about holding a space for you to remember the truth. Now, the truth is multifaceted. It's not one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a highest truth, a remembering of the truth that has never changed from the day you were born. You came here with a truth. It's about your life, and it never changes. And it sits at the top of this model of human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look down below at the swinging pendulum, it swings back and forth between a woundedness of our humanity. Something happened, a number of things happened. The world started showing up as dangerous, and we felt wounded by it. Something was lacking.
Mm-hmm.
And then our mind, to survive that, creates this ego, and we have this ego self that we slowly start to identify with as who we are. But really all it is the mental construct to help us survive our wound and not get wounded again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That vacillation back and forth when we forget who we are is the experience we have of the world. Okay? And it feels schizophrenic. We go back and forth from panic and despair to feeling like we got this. We call that the 1.0 life plan. And we hold space, and we hold space in partnership, like not just one of us, but two of us, because we are literally being our own version. We're owning our own version of this pendulum with each other in support of you owning yours.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I would do them myself, my personality would run that show because I had some insights and I have some eloquent language. Like I would kind of superimpose what I see, and people tended to like it because it felt good. It just wasn't necessarily the truth for them.
Mm-hmm.
But in partnership, there's a cleanness that occurs that holds the space for the truth for you. So when we go back in that whole diagram, we work on the whole thing during the life planning process. The first step in the process is called the clearing.
Mm.
Clearing is where you remove the mental trash, the stories you've been telling over and over that make up, this is what's true about my life.
Both the wounded and the ego side, back and forth.
That's right. So the clearing is an opportunity for you to like take it off like a suit of clothes and hang it in the closet, right? It's not therapy. It's not giving you advice. It's not coaching, right? It's a sacred space to let you remove the stuff in your mind that's not really true, but it's the story you told is true.
So it's not venting even.
That's right.
It's not emoting.
That's right. We're not here just to let you vent. Okay? We're not here to have you act enlightened. You know what I mean? Like to say I'd let go of this. No, we're here to hold the sacred space for you to very consciously say, I have been run by this conversation. Right? And we articulate it with you. Like we hope you use the language that is the articulation of your 1.0. Because when you can see your 1.0, you're free to explore choice of your 2.0. When you can't see it, you're being run by it. Brain scientists have discovered that 95 to 99% of our brain activity is subconsciously recreating our past experiences. Now consider the power of that sentence. That's staggering. That says most of the time, I'm not making conscious decisions. Most of the time, I'm being run by that vacillating weight. That's why we call it the immature personality under the red line.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, we have a tool that we use as a flashlight to help us see the nature of that vacillation. It's called the Enneagram. Paula she's our most dedicated student. She's helped us become students of the Enneagram. We don't see it as a tool to label you. Like, we're not going to find a number and then refer to you as that number, right? It's when we're on automatic pilot and we're vacillating, trying to climb, that we tend to operate in patterned ways And each of us have different patterns. And the more we know about it, the better. In fact, the more we know about it, the more we can language our 1.0 life plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, when the time comes, Paula could expound upon the value and purpose of the Enneagram, but I wanted you to know it's not a way to label you and put you in a box, right? That's what it's about. But like, for example, I know myself as a 2, and it doesn't surprise you to know that means a loving helper,
mm-hmm.
right? And I didn't understand the unhealthy aspects of the 2, which have to do with neediness and manipulation, right? Ways of using loving to get your own needs met.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like this is just an example of me as my own journey discovering using the Enneagram as a flashlight, aspects of my 2.0, which has to do with unconditional love, and aspects of my 1.0, which has to do with overcompensation for feelings of worthlessness. Make sense?
I actually, wait, sorry, go ahead.
Did it make sense?
Yes.
It sounds like you touched something.
Well, it was funny when it just, I thought about if I had done the Enneagram before as you were talking about this, and I just searched in my folders, and I did take it a year ago. So I want to go back and revisit this, but I appreciate that you were, saying that that it's not really like putting me in a box. And it's, so I want to learn more about the Enneagram, and from what I can see right now, I'm a 3, but I don't know much about what the 3 is.
That makes sense right away.
We could see that, yeah.
I don't know much about that, so, but I do want to kind of revisit this and learn about it.
And it's beautiful because this framework we showed you and the process called life plan, when I would do them, it was like one-time thing. Okay, you're going to do a clearing, you're done. Now we're going to move into the narrative. Okay, we're done that. Yeah. But what you can see now, hopefully, is the tool set that we use in the framework called life plan are tools to be used continuously through the rest of your life. Like the power of a clearing that we do in the life plan as the first stage is a discipline that will serve you the rest of your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you learn about yourself in the Enneagram, if you take the Enneagram seriously, there is information that will serve you every day for the rest of your life. Right? So that's a part of the conversation as we move through the process. Clearing is the first step. It tends to be the first meeting's primary focus. The first meeting is fairly long when it's 3 hours long, right? And it's primarily focused on the distinction of clearing. Okay?
Okay.
Then we move into helping you narrate and visualize the next several aspects of the life plan. We start with the 1.0, where we get your identification of its language and its look and feel visually. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then we move into the 2.0, where we go through, I think you heard Paula describe it earlier, we go through from the inside of your life out, as opposed to the outside in.
Mm-hmm.
We go from your core relationship with the divine, however you relate to it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is not religion. This is however you relate to the energizing force of your being.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then there's a part that's about identifying the relationship with yourself, because that self is your physical, emotional, intellectual manifestation in the world. What's your relationship with that self? Because you're more than that self, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then with a partner, and that is generic. We're focusing on who they are as a partner in relationship with a partner. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then with your children.
Now, in your life plan, you don't have children,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we wouldn't do that with you.
Well, no.
Yeah, hold that thought.
Hold that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
She has a mother energy.
Isn't that here?
Oh,
You're okay. I'm saying you're saying who you would be as a mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She may.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Forget what I said, Amanda.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. Yes. And a lot of what I have been doing, it's shown up for me a lot recently, was very much just when I want to align myself personally and professionally, it's also in my future, like who do I want to be as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, like taking that deeper.
Yeah, in fact, we want to stick a monkey wrench, into your brain process right there for a moment and say that you already are those things.
Mm-hmm.
None of a life plan is about helping you become who you want to be. Okay?
Yes.
It's about identifying who, in the truest sense, is you, right?
Thank you for saying that, yes.
Yeah, and then
so you're already integrated between your professional and personal life. It's already integrated.
Correct.
We just forget. And so something else takes over. But can you remember the truth of that and what is that like? That's this process.
Mm-hmm.
So then you don't have to actually go do anything other than surrender and remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm going to write that one down.
Yeah, I can finish like the last few pieces of this because it ties it up with a bow. So after you as a mother, and by the way, you already know if you're a mother.
Yes.
I don't mean you know if you want to be a mother. You already know if you're a mother.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
We go through the next section is about you as a sibling, and it was so beautiful that then your brother walks in.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, because you are a sister to a number of human beings, right? And you get to get very real and true with who you are as a sister to your siblings, right? Mm-hmm. And then community of interest. You know, it could be Philadelphia, which would make me thrill. It could be,
I love Philadelphia.
It could be flowers. You know what I mean? Like somewhere in the realm of community that matters to you. And then finally, who you are in your calling. And one of the interesting things is, as David said, is this is going to be integrated because often we make up in our 1.0 that I have to be this way at work and this way in my personal life. Yeah, that's a lie, right? And more, as we look at the power of an integrated life, you get to be all of Amanda, right? In the world of calling, fully expressed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it infuses the brain and the fun. Like it's a very good possibility now that you know the pendulum diagram and you know the flow of a life plan. It's a good possibility that you now see that the pleasure you get from your job today is ego pleasure.
Yes.
Okay? There's a joy and fulfillment possible at the highest level, right? That actually utilizes Amanda in form, including her brain, to do the job well, right? But it's no longer about the job giving your ego a high, right? And wondering why this creative part of me is nagging at me. Right? Yeah. So that's the flow of the life plan narrative components for the 2.0. And then the very last part of the process is what's called assignments, where you help identify actions you could take that would be out of the script of your life plan, not the script of your 1.0. And in taking them, it would help you manifest them in reality.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, so, and we don't want it to be panic for you, but you're going to identify the assignments that stretch you to a level of manifesting a different experience.
Self-given assignments.
Yeah.
What did you call them? Self what?
Self-given. You will create them yourself.
Yeah, and you'll know them even while you're going through the narrative. You'll trip over little clues of places where there are assignment possibilities.
And it's like creating your own laboratory in various areas of your life to say, I'm now going to be that there. Like just to practice the muscle.
Right.
Rendering and remembering, I'm going to do it here. intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
Like a way to call yourself forward.
Yes.
What are you hearing, Amanda?
It's interesting because I feel like I have really started to be intentional with this journey for myself, but having, I think, maybe more of a structure and support and helping me process and articulate my thoughts is something that is really attractive to me, because sometimes I question my own thoughts and it's hard for me to process or flesh things out, or really dig deeper. So what's showing up for me is something that I have been like seeking in hearing the process and what you guys, like the space that you're providing and the support. It sounds very in line with what I've been seeking before I really knew it. So it's very in line with my thoughts. So thank you for sharing that.
I want to say one last thing before we wrap up. We discussed earlier the fact that we're working in a world of energy that we don't fully understand. And when we meet someone and we share ourselves, typically it either connects to their heart or not. It either connects to their heart or not. We like to help them get to the quickest no possible if the answer is not, because most people want to be nice. They don't want to be rejecting. You know what I mean? They want to be polite, right? But often our heart longs for something that our brain fights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so your heart already knows. Now, we don't need you to say anything to that. Like, you don't have to say a word. But we do ask you to explore your heart. Mm-hmm. Because it's that aspect of you, if you choose to go forward, that aspect of you that we're going to be cultivating your willingness to surrender to it. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, so go away and think about this and take it into your heart. And let your heart speak to you, because it already knows.
Thank you for being with us, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I really appreciated the moment at the beginning for clearing and to be present. So I appreciate you guys holding the space for that.
Very cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. All righty. We'll sign off.
Have a good day. Nice to meet you, Jonathan.
Bye.
You too. Bye.